Okay, this one is going to be the nitty-gritty risk management. Risk management is a very important core concept in trading, and it's one that it's important you understand, or else you will get blown out. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. This video is for educational purposes only. So if you consider the video on EV, EV is a concept, as the currency of traders. If EV is your offense, risk management is your defense. We're like this badass knight character here. Sword in one hand, shield in the other hand. If you only went into battle with a shield, you wouldn't be able to do much. If you only go into battle with your sword, you will die soon. So bring your sword and your shield to the battle, which is the chart and trading exchange we show up to every day. We are just like this knight, literally me. In the same way, printing EV over time makes us rich. Adherence to risk management keeps us alive. So I think the analogy of, left hand, right hand, sword, shield really fits and is appropriate to the weighting the importance of both of these trading concepts next to each other. Anything you put at risk, you will eventually lose. The Redditor kind of old-timey wisdom saying is don't risk what you can't afford to lose. The idea is anything that you have at risk in the trading world has to be something that you can live with losing. Because if you risk something that you can't do without and you lose it, you will be in a place that you don't want to be. That's when you get people jumping off of buildings during stock market crashes. For all of us, we all have a different point of what we're willing to risk on trades and what kind of losses we can walk away from one day and come back the next day still able to fight. And it's important to know those bounds and to stick to them. If you assume the worst outcome, you will always be prepared. I think that goes without saying. That's kind of the Boy Scout motto. A good, if pessimistic, rule for life. Uh, in the trading world, we're dealing with probability and risk every day. And anything that is risked, there's an equation there that's like percentage of your risk being lost versus the size of your risk. It's kind of the reverse of the theory of evolution, where if given enough time, a very unlikely outcome is guaranteed to happen if given, infinite time to happen within. Uh, the same is true of risk and trading, that eventually everyone loses that trade. So even if you take a trade with a 99% win rate, eventually you're going to lose it. So if your trading strategy is 1% chance to make a 2% gain on your account, no, wait, 99% chance to make a 2% gain and a 1% chance to lose your entire account. In an EV, purely considering the mathematics of it, that ends up positive because, mathematically 99 times 2 is more than 100 times 1. But if you ever hit that 1% chance and completely lose your account balance, you can't trade anymore. And you have to be able to trade in order to make money. You have to be able to play the game in order to win. And that's where risk management comes into the picture, where EV is not the entire story. Habits, things to do, ways to practice appropriate risk management. When you enter a trade, always set a stop loss. As part of my system, taking a trade involves hitting the entry button, and when we hit that entry button, we're going to have a profit target set and we're going to have a stop loss set. And those parameters are not going to be edited once the trade is entered. Uh, there's more room for nuance there, room for different trading styles. but the concept is if you ever don't have a stop loss set, you are opening yourself up to that 100% loss. And if any amount of time in your trading you have a possibility of 100% loss to occur, eventually that outcome will happen. And most of us will not be able to show up the next day and trade at the same level we were if we hit that 100% loss. And stop losses are important. Alameda, FTX. There was some funny Caroline interview, like pretty shortly before the exchange went down, where she talked about in trading that Alameda or FTX didn't use stop losses, and we all know how that turned out. So have a stop loss set on entry. Prior to entering a trade, have a set percentage of your portfolio you're willing to put at risk. And this is something that is not spur of the moment. This is very established and should be very rote and robotic when you're at the point that you're entering trades and putting your money at risk. Before you even consider taking the trade, you know what your risk is going to look like when you enter it. And this is an amount that you're able to lose and come back from and remain profitable over the long term. Don'ts, these are things, ways to not adhere to risk management procedures. If you enter a trade and the trade starts going badly, there's a temptation there to move your stop loss so you can remain in the trade. You know, maybe it's going down and we're getting close to getting stopped out, but we don't want to because we're still holding out hope that the trade is right and price is going to recover and go our direction. And so the temptation is to move the stop loss and stay in the trade for longer. And this is a bad habit because, as we established in the slide before this, you have that stop loss set, you have your trade parameters before the trade is even entered, and not adhering to that based on emotions is a bad habit to get into and will open you up to wider risk and risking more than you should be. So it's better left by the wayside and avoided. Similarly, don't alter your risk sizing based on emotion. So in trading, we show up, we put in the work every day, and we don't get a paycheck at the end of the day. It's It varies, some days you make money, some days you lose money. If you have your system established, the wins over time will outweigh the losses, but if you're trading correctly, you're going to show up and you're going to work all day and you're going to leave with less money than you came in with, and that's just the nature of the game. The temptation there is you chase sizing on days that you're losing. So I'm down $500 for today. So I'm going to risk double on my next trade because if I win this next trade, I'll be up on the day. And emotionally, I want to be rewarded for the work that I've put in today. Um, Unfortunately, the nature of the game is we're going to have those losing days, and there are going to be days where no matter how much work you put in and how smart your trades are, the market's just not going to move your way, and you're going to lose every single trade you enter all day. And if you spur of the moment emotionally decide to risk 10 times your normal parameters on the last trade of the day, and then you lose, you're going to walk out and the day's loss is going to be much harder to recover from. Sometimes you just have to, fold your hand in poker and not chase those very few outs you have left in the deck. Sometimes you just have to walk away from a trading day and accept that you're down a few percent. More in that line, martingaling is a concept that comes from gambling. It's kind of a noob gambling strat. So you go and you hit the roulette table. You bet $10 on the first hand, $20 the second, then $40, then 80, then 160, then 320. And you just double down every time you lose until you win. Similarly, because we want to sit down and play roulette and walk away with slightly more money than we came with. So we don't want to end on a losing note. And that is uh, gambling behavior, essentially. Betting bigger because of your current record, because you're mad at your luck. That's a sign that you're gambling. Doubling down when you're losing because you want to win and end the day on an emotional high note is gambling behavior. That doesn't mean that you can't adjust size for your trades based on set system parameters. And that's part of my system and part of what we'll get into in the trading education part of this course. But purely from the emotional side, it's very important to be in touch with your psychology as a successful trader. And, we all have tilt and anger and get mad whenever we lose money, and we feel like we shouldn't. And learning to recognize that and manage it and not take on problematic behaviors is what's going to keep you alive, and you have to stay alive in order to make it trading. That's it for today. Hopefully this was helpful. The main takeaway, EV on one side, risk management on the other side. They're both things that we need to understand as concepts and adhere to in order to make it as traders, which is what we're all setting out to do. I hope this was helpful and see you in the next one.